All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Street Level Strategies. I am Bobbi Jo Dallas, Customer Engagement Manager at Total Expert. And today I am joined by Matt Adler, Loan Officer at Lake Michigan Credit Union. And actually, I should be saying top producer at Lake Michigan Credit Union because, Matt, let's just talk a little bit about you and your year last year.
Yeah.
I was looking through it. It looks like you closed about $140 million in loan volume. Depending on where you look, you're ranked pretty dang high up there. I know we had some discrepancies on, where we're looking, but man, where I was looking, you're about 86 in the country and you closed about 366 loans last year. Kudos to you. Amazing work. And I'm so happy to have you on today to talk about how you're leveraging Total Expert and other tech systems in your tech stack. So first things first, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick little intro to you? I know you've been in the industry for long time, 21 years to be exact, but why don't you just go ahead and share with maybe a little bit about you and how it's going?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on. This is fun. It's kind of cool. Different from, breaking up the day a little bit.
Yeah, why not? Recording.
Yeah, 21 years ago I started. I started actually as I was finishing up college, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life because, believe it or not, it's hard to make a living as a tuba player, which is what I got my degree in. So when I was about to graduate, my father-in-law had a mortgage broker shop, and I jumped in, and that was the time when you can get, anybody can get a loan, fog up the mirror, you get a loan, the good old wild west days. Yeah. So got trained there, was in the broker world for 8-ish years. The crash happens. I'm worrying about the future, so I think let's go to somewhere big. I go to a big bank. Not a great experience, and this was, Bank of America at a time when they're merging with Countrywide, and just it's craziness. But I was there for about 8 months and made some great contacts that actually ultimately led me here to Lake Michigan Credit Union today. And I've been here for about 10 years, and it's been a really great experience.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we love our Lake Michigan Credit Union folks. Your team is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, clearly you've been through ups and downs. You've been through a lot being in the industry for so long. Now with that, you probably also have been and seen a lot of changes in the industry, also in terms of technology, right? And how the industry has adapted to technology, and we've, essentially had to make technology work for the mortgage industry. So talk to me a little bit about some of the key systems that you're using today to drive your business.
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm not going to say when I started, we were doing Title 3s by hand. I mean, some people were, but it was like credit importing was the new big thing at that point. Nowadays, though, I live in Total Expert, Mortgage Coach, MBS Highway, and then as an organization, we use Blend a lot.
Yep.
Blend has been a lifesaver to be able to help do a lot more production with less time.
Right. And you see, and one of the key things, right, with Total Expert is being able to take those solutions, right, and be able to implement them and weave them into Total Expert, because we were talking earlier a little about, how you're using Blend, right? And then also your different systems to be able to make sure you're staying in touch with your borrowers and your past clients and all that fun stuff, and really weave everything into one system to work cohesively. So cool. Really sweet to just hear some of the, technologies that you're using and find success with. And otherwise, I'd love to hear just a little bit about, right now in the industry, we're talking a lot about, and everyone is, it's how are we nurturing our clients? How are we staying in front of our agents, right? I think there's two buckets that I want to talk through today. Because truthfully, we know that, even if they're not ready today, they may be ready in 1, 2, 3 years, right? And how are we ensuring that they're coming back to you? So that's kind of that first piece. That second piece is also the agent, right? How important it is with your agent relationship. So why don't we actually start on the agent side? Because I'd love to hear your thought process and how maybe you are thinking about your agent relationships and maintaining and building those. And then where and if, Total Expert plays a role in maintaining and helping you nurture those relationships with your agents.
It's like one of the biggest tools I can use for that. Right now, agents, everything's changing for them, just like everything's changing for us. The they're not necessarily all feeling like they're on solid ground. They're
Yeah.
looking for partners. They're looking for help. They're looking for a guiding light. So part of what I do every single week, we started 2 years ago. Every Wednesday, excuse me, every Wednesday we do our Wednesday Knowledge Bomb. Wednesday Knowledge Bomb is tying one theme that's going on. Like we'll look at a calendar and say, hey, today is National Twinkie Day. Let's do 5 funny facts about Twinkie. And then I've got to find a way to kind of link Twinkies to mortgages or a mortgage guideline change or something like that. So it's entertainment. It's supposed to be, teaching them something new. At the end, we always end with a dad joke. And I'll get replies back to it where people have said, if you ever stop doing this, I'm never going to talk to you again. They love it. And I work on it with my assistant, Rhonda, and I think it's the highlight of her week as well. So it's fun, and we get a really good read rate. I can track that all through Total Expert, which is great. I can see who's opening it. I can see the engagement. So that I love.
Who doesn't love Twinkies?
Yeah.
And who doesn't love a good dad joke? Why would you not? If you didn't even care about it, why wouldn't you not read it,
Exactly.
Amusing. And so you're sending these emails to your agents
Mm-hmm.
through Total Expert. And are you doing any video? Are you doing any, or how are you setting them out?
So there's 2 engagements a week.
Okay.
There's the Knowledge Bomb, which is just a quick text read.
Okay.
And then every Friday I do a market update. Here's what you need to know going into the weekend. So for that, I'll record something on BombBomb, and I'm usually highlighting something from MBS Highway.
Yeah.
I'm usually regurgitating something that Barry Habib has said, and I'm trying to make it quick, concise, so that they can be armed going into the weekend. And then I'll deploy it using Total Expert.
Love it. And have you seen what's like the success look like for you in these? Like when you're sending these out, what does success look like for these?
Staying relevant. That's really it. I don't know that I can necessarily trace and say, I know that I got this deal directly because I sent that email or I sent that video. But I do know that I'm staying top of mind with that realtor or with that builder. And that's what all this is about.
Yeah.
Staying relevant to them so that when the opportunity presents itself, you're on the list of names to refer out to.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, one of the things that you do, right, is going back in and being able to say, this is, out of the video email that I sent this week, what agents are engaging with my emails when, who isn't, and maybe who do I need to reach out to a little bit more, right? So you can actually track the engagement from your agents. And I remember even saying that, some of the agents that you work with have actually even, asked you to come in on their, on their team calls and things like that, and be able to actually engage a little bit further.
Yeah, exactly. I'm becoming an expert in their mind.
Yes.
So they'll bring me in as the expert.
I love that. Okay. So that's a little bit about the way you're leveraging the system to engage agents and nurture your agent relationships. But then on the other hand, let's talk a little bit about some of the cool ways, because I was just talking to some of our team members who are working with you, right? And just some of the cool ways that you have, you leverage the system, if not daily, to at least manage your database and make sure that you're staying in front of your database, and also grouping them accordingly, making sure that you can easily at any moment go into the system and say, this is who I need to, reach out to. You've been staying in front of your pre-quals. There's a lot of cool stuff that you're doing. So let's just chat a little bit about how you're leveraging the system on a daily basis to manage your clients and your past database.
So the first thing that's great is the automation that we have as a company through Blend, our point of sale, into Total Expert. So any contact that's created, any borrower who starts an application, automatically their contact is pushed out to Total Expert. Yep. That makes it easier on me.
Yep.
That leaves me to have to go in and categorize it. And, I try to use the categories as much as I can, or the groupings really. So I'll make sure I have a grouping for the agent who referred me. I have a grouping for the type of product they're looking at. For someone who maybe is credit challenged. And then I've got a pre-approval grouping depending upon their timeline to close.
Right.
And that way, you're right. That way I can sort and say, oh, here's a bunch of doctors, and we do a lot of doctor loans. And we had recently a doctor loan rate promotion. I can sort all these people and I have it right there and I can send them out a blast if I needed to that's specific and relevant to them.
I love it. I love it. So really the idea of like being able to manage your database in a way where you can get out timely, relevant communication and stay in front of them when the opportunity presents itself.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I love
And
it.
then, remember your team helped me build out my nurturing campaign for my pre-approvals
Yeah.
because 2 years ago I went to my first Todd Duncan event, my sales mastery event, and in there he was talking about the sales funnel, how to nurture your pre-approvals, which is something I thought about, but I really didn't take action on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even think about how much money I left on the table for people I pre-approved and thought, all right, that's it. They're going to come back to me.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think about or take the time to follow up and nurture them. So Todd suggests, depending upon if they're 90 days out or 6 months out or 9 months out or a year out, you touch base with them weekly, every other week, so on and so forth.
Love
And
it.
as much as I had that good intention to do that, it wasn't until I had basically a task journey set up within Total Expert where it would create the tasks for me depending upon where they fall to stay in front of them. And I know that I've gotten deals that I probably would have lost otherwise once I implemented that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're creating basically a journey that's allowing you to automatically reminding yourself. So that's like the full circle, right?
Yep.
So when someone gets pre-approved, they come into the system, into Total Expert, and then you then have this ability to then, without even having to mark on your calendar or wherever, you just get a notification that says, hey, it's 30 days out or it's 90 days, whatever, timeline you've set up. Hey, time to check back in and make sure you're connecting with them on a relevant basis so that you're nurturing that client, you don't lose them. Because right, like how much it's off, like how it's just like makes your mind spin when you think about how much money you could be leaving
Mm-hmm.
on the table, with these borrowers, right?
Exactly.
Sure. All right, let's talk a little about customer intelligence. I'll pivot there.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Lake Michigan Credit Union, you guys have implemented customer intelligence recently. And for those of you guys who don't know, who are listening, right, customer intelligence essentially, we're basically scanning your database to surface up relevant opportunities. We track things like, right, we're giving you, if you have credit, if someone pulls their credit, lists their home, maybe if they're within a rate threshold that, might be favorable to them, and if they maybe have built up equity, right, in their home. So we're surfacing that up to you as a loan officer. And Matt, I know that you have had some experience with some of these alerts. And so I'd love for you to just talk about, the relevance, the value, maybe some of the success that you've seen with customer intelligence alerts.
Yeah. Well, we get alerts for potential interest rate reductions. In this environment, though, probably not
Yeah.
anything we've been able to take advantage of
Yep.
quite yet. We get listing alerts if something's listed. And for the most part, I'm usually aware of that, which I
Yeah.
kind of like.
Yeah.
But then you get the credit inquiry ones, the ones where the people are cheating on you. So we were getting those. And initially, when I started to get those, I would call or I would text. And it would be that really awkward thing where,
Yeah.
hey, are you stalking me? How do you know? And they're also getting a bunch of phone calls from a bunch of other lenders. And so they don't want to talk to you. But I've had some success with it lately when I've changed my approach.
Sure.
And usually it's just a text, not a phone call. And usually it's a text with an open-ended question that's just, hey, how are you loving your home? Because they're people who we already have a loan with. And it usually at that point when they're getting solicited by everybody else, that's a different way that someone's talking with them. They seem to be more likely to engage.
Right.
And I have been able to recapture past clients that way. Where I don't know that I necessarily would if I took a different approach.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we talked about that. I thought that was interesting. So, I mean, many people have right now different thoughts on, everyone with, different credit alerts and things like that. I mean, the amount of people and phone calls we're getting, I know so many producers take it differently, approach it differently, but I like that you're saying that just coming at it of, okay, when you get that task alert from Total Expert that says, hey, time to engage with the client, they pulled their credit, et cetera. You can go in and say, okay, maybe it's not a phone call for you. What works is a text message, and you just text them. And I love that you're saying, I give them an open-ended question, because otherwise it's like, what am I saying to them?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I saw, what are you supposed to say? That just feels weird. But I love that you're going at it with a different approach so that you're right. It's not what they've heard before. They're getting a scripted phone call from, their whoever. And you're coming at it saying, hey, you just want to know, just checking in. how are things going, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you're taking a different approach and seeing success with it, right? You're seeing people open your text and respond back, and then you can actually re-engage, and you have recaptures of clients from that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, hey, this has been awesome, Matt. I so appreciate you just coming on and talking a little bit about how you're using the system in your daily
Mhm.
life and your business, and how it's making an impact and seeing value. So thank you.
When I first heard about it, I was kind of opposed to it
I
too.
remember you saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I love it now though. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that everybody should embrace.
So if
It's a
you're
great thing.
hearing this from Matt Adler, you're hearing that, hey, it can be done. We can turn you to a total expert lover. I love it.
Right.
Amazing. All right. Well, it's nice talking to you. We'll talk soon.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.